Buenas, buenas, hola a todos los cultivadores y a todos los que estén pensando en iniciar su cultivo de bosque comestible o de jardín comestible. Vamos a continuar con el primer curso online gratuito de bosque o jardín comestible ofrecido por Bosque Curupira. Y vamos a continuar con el módulo 1 y ahora la clase 2, que se refiere al asunto imprescindible de comentar sobre qué es un bosque comestible, cuáles son sus principales características. Bueno, esta fotografía ya la habíamos visto la clase pasada. Podemos definir un bosque comestible como una policultura, muchas especies, perenne, especies que permanecen a través de las estaciones, de plantas multipropósito. Porque no vamos a cultivar solo hortalizas o solo frutas o solo nada, o solo fibras. Vamos a cultivar todo lo que creemos que necesitamos. Cada bosque puede tener una composición completamente diferente en función de los deseos de quien va a habitar allí. Y entonces habrá plantas para diferentes tipos de propósitos y con diferentes tipos de funciones. Aquí vemos otra fotografía de ese mismo cantero lateral superior que tiene 50 metros. La fotografía anterior era el primer tramo del cantero. Este es un segundo tramo del cantero y todavía falta otro tramo posterior. Vean todo lo que hay aquí: malva rosa, papa del aire, una granada, el lapachillo, una bananera, el tomate de árbol, jengibre blanco, aquí hay cúrcuma, arazás rojos, consuelda. Es una comunidad creada deliberadamente de plantas, animales y hongos mutuamente beneficiosos y que produce alimentos para los humanos. Para los humanos o para las gallinas o para los perros, produce alimentos, entre otras cosas, no solamente alimentos. Para esta clase me voy a ayudar con autorización del autor en este video, con este video de Geoff Lawton. Aquí está su logotipo, que se llama ¿Qué es un bosque de alimentos? Lo vamos a ir viendo por partes según los temas a los que se refiere y con leyenda en español, que se la he puesto yo porque no tenía leyenda en español, solamente tenía leyenda en inglés. Vamos entonces a la primera parte de este video de Geoff Lawton, que trata sobre específicamente qué es un bosque comestible.
What is a food forest? Well, we're all quite familiar with forests and forests as an ecosystem with great diversity of plants, animals and fungi all harmonizing together and interreacting in many niches and layers designed by nature, maintained as a system in perfect balance. Well, imagine that as a system that produces food. The majority of the elements in that system being productive. That's a food forest.
Imitando a la naturaleza, veremos entonces una segunda parte del video de Geoff Lawton sobre qué es un bosque comestible.
By understanding how nature designs forest systems so they're self-maintaining, self-replicating, we can model that system with productive species so that we can produce food in the most sustainable way with the minimum amount of input for the maximum amount of output anywhere in the world. That's a food forest system that we can actually design and work with in long-term and permanent situations.
Ahora comenzamos con el inicio de la parte de la descripción estructural del bosque. Vamos a escuchar aquí a Lawton explicando sobre las camadas o estratos que ocupan todo el espacio del bosque.
All forests have layers. So you start off with a canopy layer, that's the top of the forest. Then you have understory layers, and under those you have bush and shrub layers, going down to herbaceous layers, which are non-woody plants. And then you have a root yield. You have plants that actually have large starchy roots. And then on the ground you have ground covers, and you also have a vertical layer of climbers. Now all forests have those layers, but you have a basic set of layers that occupy all the space. When we design a food forest, we put that layering system into action to our benefit for production and maintenance through function.
Me parece que última parte, vamos a aprender sobre qué son las especies de soporte, las que hacen el trabajo por nosotros. Las especies de soporte son una categoría de especies que habita el bosque, sobre todo en sus años iniciales, importantísima, fundamental y que no puede estar ausente. Allá vamos.
And then you have support species like the ice cream bean and the Tipuana tipu and casuarina. They're large trees, but they continue to support the forest by cycling nutrient. You also have understory nitrogen fixers like the acacias and the leucaena and the cassia and albizia species. They're all really good, fast functioning, fast carbon pathways that fix nitrogen and can be chopped to the ground for mulch as the space that they're occupying can be taken up by the productive species. These are all space occupiers in a system that's incredibly stable when all the layers are complete and occupied. We can plant food forests by planting support species at the same time as the fruit trees and managing the support species to shelter and boost the productive species. Or we can just plant the pioneer support species until we get a stable canopy. But we don't want to go the other way round. We don't want to start with the productive species and work hard with lots of inputs to keep them in a healthy state. The support species do the work for us. It can be up to 95% of the mass in the early years are the legume trees and the mulch producing trees that produce the biomass. We prune these and these trees shed nitrogen to the soil because they have relationships. They're classic pioneers and most are nitrogen fixing species. In other words, they have rhizobium bacterial partners in the soil that take nitrogen from the air in the soil and bring it into their plant bodies. And they then eventually die and that nitrogen is added to the soil. Now we can speed that process up. We can sacrifice those species with good timing after we've put them into relative placement. So over time, the species we sacrifice open up opportunities for our productive species. They shelter and support and provide the fertilizer, the soil conditioning and the humus. So we stack the system in space, but we prune in relation to time. So we wait for the time of year when there is more rainfall than evaporation. After the period where it's been dry and the evaporation is higher than rainfall, there we need shade and we leave the shade up. But as soon as the rainfall gets heavier and higher than the evaporation, we can start to cut and open up light avenues and space for our productive species to take up the gap. Now, over time, when we get to establishment, we've got less and less mass in pioneer support species and more mass in the productive species. And we end up with a reversal of mass. We have 95% productive and only 5% in support. So we don't just stack in space, we stack in time, and we speed up the process. These legume support trees that have been cut off as pollards may look a bit harsh, but they very quickly start to regrow. You can see here little shoots coming everywhere, and they're all the same. With the regrowth, we get a beautiful shade. Now that's handy in the hot time of year when we've got a lot of evaporation over rainfall, and it's actually a nurse crop for your fruit trees when they're young. Later on, we may cut them more regularly and keep feeding the soil, and eventually we may cut them out.
Bueno, no era esa aquella la última parte. En este último pequeño fragmento del video de Lawton, veremos que nada es tan diverso, nada es tan estable, ni nada es tan fértil como un bosque comestible.
Food forests function as a living ecosystem, and they are so diverse and so stable. And there is nothing like this in modern agriculture. Nothing as diverse, nothing as stable, nothing as fertile. The production of soil is constant. The fertility is constantly increasing. The diversity of production is non-stop. So with a food forest system, you have a system that self-replicates over time. There are no systems that produce as much per square meter for the smallest amount of inputs. This is a system that is proven even in urban agriculture. Many people have heard my quote, "You can solve all the world's problems in a garden." But what a lot of people don't know about that quote is, I'm referring to food forests. They will work anywhere.
Ok, hasta aquí llegamos hoy. Si te gustó, dale me gusta, suscríbete al canal, compartí los videos y gracias.